Hey, welcome to the channel. I've already taped the bill and applied a base coat of opaque white. This is a 3 3/4 inch Squarebill crankbait. Now I'm going to spray some white pearl on the belly, and we're going to let the overspray go over on the sides slightly towards the lateral line. And we just want to do nice even coats and just build up those pearls. It's going to give it that kind of flash, sparkle, pearlized effect to the belly. It's looking pretty good. Now we'll spray some pearl silver. We're going to do this from the top down with the overspray on the sides to layer in with that white pearl and kind of blend it down towards the belly. And that's going to give that pearl effect in the silver on the top to add that extra flash we need. And really going to come out once the lure's finished and it's epoxy. It really brings out those pearls. It looks really good. So same thing, checking coverage. Make sure we got us some overspray for the blending. I think that looks good. Now we're going to add some iridescent yellow on the sides. But this one we're going to use a stencil, a texture stencil by Gerald Mendez, to do something different than the standard hard line that you see when you look at a sexy shad pattern. You usually see a hard yellow line and a hard light blue or a turquoise line above it. I want to change it up a little bit. So we're going to use this texture stencil and we're going to add our iridescent yellow in on each side. And after we've got our texture down, I'm just going to come in above the texture and add some more of the yellow. And that'll come in when we're blending in the next color. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. And you just work in sections, you know, do a little section, get your texture in, move your stencil around, adjust it how you like. And then same thing. Just going to add in some of that iridescent yellow and a solid pattern above just for when we get ready to blend down. Now we're going to do the same thing above the yellow texture with the iridescent turquoise. And we're going to also texture this color into it as well. Now I got the texture in it where I like it, so now I'm gonna go ahead and fill in up above it with the iridescent turquoise. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Alright, for the top, we need a dark color on the top for the color shift to really flash on the top. I don't want it to be too dark or heavy black. So here I'm going to use sepia, which is like an earthy brown. An earthy brown. It's like a dark brown, but it's got like an earthy tone to it. It's great color to keep the back of the lure from becoming too dark and make the shifter really pop. Really, we're just going to spray that down the spine of the bait and then just overspray slightly off on each side, but we don't want to cover up all of the iridescent turquoise. We want some of that there, but we want to layer it in, like shade it in, getting darker towards the spine. And this is all really for the color shift to come off and pop when we put it on towards the end. I will take the sepia and I'm going to add it to the eye sockets to do some shading on the outside of the eye sockets. It looks really good. Once you put your eyes in, it has that kind of like a set back look to it. So I want to go ahead and add that to the eyes as well. That shading around the eye socket, that's what we're looking for. It just gives it a little more depth to the eyes when you put the eyes in. I'm also going to use that same sepia to be my base color for my fins. So I like to layer the fins in as well, so they're not just like a solid dark color. I want to layer them in, so I'm going to use the sepia as a base color. And on the fins, what I want to do when you're spraying the fin on a stencil like this, spray on the outside edge of your stencil, and that just gives you just enough overspray inside of it to where you're not darkening it out too heavy. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. And you see I touched the top while I was holding my stencil down and kind of smudged up the sepia that we sprayed across the back, but we'll fix that in a second. And it's good to heat set in between colors. I do heat set in between my colors to set them, and I try not to waste your time on the video by having those sections in here just like the base coat. Just to save time to help keep the video moving. So I first started off with the sepia across the back, then I did the eye sockets. Then when I did the fin, I put my finger on top and I hadn't heat set it yet. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna layer the sepia back in between shots of paint, and then I'm gonna dry it off with just the air from the airbrush. And then put another layer, dry it off with the air on the airbrush, and then add a little paint and dry it off with the air and build it back up. So that's gone away. And there we go. But luckily I didn't touch the bait anywhere else with that wet paint on my gloves, or then I'd have had a real problem. Now we're going to add some transparent sand to the fins. Like I say, I want to layer the fins. It's going to give them a more natural look. To me, the fins on a fish have a transparent, lighter look, but still have highlights of color. So to lighten the pattern of the fins, I like to layer with a few different colors. And when I get done adding just a small little layer of the sand, I want to put a little bit on the gill plate and around the mouth, just to add a few more of those accent colors and just to layer things in. And when I'm putting this sand in, I'm not trying to put it in real heavy. I just want to get it in certain spots to kind of layer it in. So we still got the sepia, we still have the transparent sand coming in, and it's also changing some of the sepia color too. So it's all blending together. I'm gonna spray a little bit of transparent sand under the bill as well, just to kind of shade, add a little shading to that area. And I think that's where I think it looks good. All right, now here's the shifter. This is gonna add the flash and the color change to the bait, depending on the light and the source angle, the light source, the angle. And with the action of these Squarebills, it's gonna give that flash in the water. So I'm gonna add a little bit of that color shift on top of the fins, just to give it some of that layer, that color, but I don't want it on the whole bait. That's why I'm gonna go ahead and just add a little to the fins. I'll put a little on the gill plates, and then we'll spray it across the back. Watch, you'll see the color shift happen when it hits that dark. It gives off that flash, that pearl, that glitterness, and then it'll change. This one, I believe it's like a purple, depending on the light angle, shades in the blue. There's a light greenish in it. It really looks good. And we're just gonna add a little bit of that to the gill plate as well. Not like we did on the back, but just real lightly like we did on the fins. And that'll really come out and shine once the epoxy's on and dry. We're gonna add some 8mm silver round pupil eyes to the bait. Now it's going to put a dab of super glue on there, and then I'll position the eyes on it, and that'll bring the soul into the bait. It'll bring it to life. And the eyes just really bring it together. Next, we're going to coat it with some UVLS gloss. This will protect the colors from the sun, also serve as a mid coat for our epoxy coating. We'll spray a good wet coat across the entire bait. I still have the bill tape. I'm just spraying the actual bait. I'm gonna get a good wet coat on it, and I'm gonna let that dry for a while. This one I'll let dry overnight. And now let's brush on some epoxy. We're gonna mix up some epoxy, 1-to-1 mix ratio, and we're gonna brush it on, and we're gonna coat the entire bait. And you'll see when it brushes over that color shift, how it just brings it out, and the pearls and everything else. Gonna give it that nice glass coat look to the bait, and everything's just gonna pop. When you're brushing it on, you want to make sure you get a good even coat. I like to go multiple directions with it. You know, I don't want to brush just one straight direction. I kind of go one direction and I go the opposite direction with it. Make sure you get in all the grooves on your lures. Get down in those grooves like the gill plates and the mouth. Get that epoxy in there. Because after we get a good coating on it and everything's covered and smooth and looks good, I'm gonna put it on a turner overnight and have that lure turn, level out that epoxy while it's drying. And usually takes about 24 hours to get a full cure. And just take your time. Take your time with the epoxy. You don't want to rush. You don't want to miss something. Watch your hook hangers. Make sure you got them clear before you put it on the turner. If you got to get a little toothpick and stick in there to open them back up, you know, you can do that. Save yourself some time by doing that first, as opposed to having them closed up with dry epoxy afterwards and then having to clean it out. So I think that looks good. We're ready for the turner. And here's our finished lure. My original idea was to take a sexy shad pattern, shake it up a bit from what you normally see, and put a twist on it with the texture and layering. I got ahead of myself though on this one and forgot to do the kill dot. So I'm gonna call this one a sexy shiner. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.